Hey everybody! I have had a lot of people this week asking me about transitioning from co-sleeping. And in a live video that I did earlier today, I mentioned two methods that work for transitioning from co-sleeping. I mentioned the camping out method, also known as the chair method. There are multiple names for it. And then I also mentioned the excuse me method. So I thought that today I would go in more detail about the excuse me method so that you have an idea of why we would use it and why it would be effective and who it's good for and all of that. So the excuse me method is really a means of fading a parent as a sleep association. Sleep associations are cues that tell a child that it's time to fall asleep and that it's time to fall back asleep in the middle of the night. So I've talked about how anything that a child is used to when they fall asleep, they're likely going to look for when they cycle between sleep cycles in the night. And if they find something is different, they're going to wake up more fully. All kids wake up slightly between sleep cycles. Not all will be looking for what they fell asleep with, but most will. So if you have been co-sleeping with your child, of course, your presence is going to be a sleep association for them. And it's going to be one that they're very used to, especially if they have co-slept their entire life and are now a toddler and don't know anything different. So most parents who are looking for a way to transition from co-sleeping do not want to do cry it out, and they would like to do a more gentle method. And that happens to be exactly what the excuse me method is. So essentially what you're doing with the excuse me method is you're in the room with your child and then you say, excuse me, I need to go drink a glass of water. Or, excuse me, I need to go brush my teeth quickly. Or even, excuse me, I need to go do some yoga. Really, whatever it is. You are just making an excuse why you need to leave the room. And you're hoping that as you extend the amount of time that you're out of the room each time, that your child will eventually be tired and just fall asleep without your presence. And eventually through that, learn to fall asleep without requiring your presence, and therefore not need that sleep association when they wake in the night either. So this method works for kids that are a little older. I would suggest around 3. Although you know your child and their ability to understand language, so it might work on kids that are slightly younger. But if you have a child who doesn't understand the excuse that you're making, they're just going to think that you're leaving the room on them, and they're not going to be calmed by the excuse that you're making and the knowledge that you will be back. So if you want to use this method, I would suggest having a bedtime routine in place, a good bedtime routine, because that is part of what you want to become your child's sleep association as you move towards, not always making excuses, but just saying goodnight and leaving the room. I also suggest that you have everything else in order as far as helping them sleep. And so by that, I mean, I want you to make sure that their sleep schedule is appropriate, that they're in bed at night for the amount of time that they need to be, that their room is a comfortable place to be, and really everything you can do to stack the odds in your favor that this will work, and that the sleep association was the reason they were waking up, and now that it's gone, that they're sleeping through the night. It's a good method for parents who are looking for a gentle approach, because you're reassuring them that they will be back as you leave the room. You're not leaving them there while they're crying, as in the cried out method. And it works well for kids who are a little more anxious, because like, okay, my mom or dad will be right back. I've got this. And then, like I said, hopefully eventually they just fall asleep. Because it is a more gentle method, it's probably going to take a while, probably couple weeks at least, so you have to be patient, but it's kind of a fun and not too effortful method if you're willing to put the time in. And from most parents that I've talked to, if you're co-sleeping with your child and laying with them till they fall asleep, you're already putting that time in. So if you're ready to make the change, this is a great way to do it, and I suggest looking into it a little more, and then like I said, also making sure that everything else sleep-wise is in order with them. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please leave a note in the comments. I also wrote a blog post on this topic a while back at my website, www.positivepracticalparenting.com. And the name of that blog post is A Simple Method to Help Your Child Fall Asleep and Stay Asleep. So if you want more information, you can head there. Thank you.